What is going on, Chicago Bears fans? I apologize. I know I've been absent for a few days, had some stuff going on in real life and difficult time. But we are here talking about the Chicago Bears. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to relitigate some of the stuff that happened over this last game. A little frustrating. I think a lot of people are let down with the progress of the offensive line. And I want to say first and foremost that there are mistakes being made, fundamental mistakes being made in the offensive line that you would hope would have been addressed at this point. And of course, when you're cherry picking, like I'm doing right now, you can see the bad plays, but there were some good plays. And, generally speaking, the protection has not been great, but there have been moments where you have a little bit of hope that they understand what's going on. However, it's been few and far between at this point, and so far. Has Caleb Williams lived up to the hype? Not exactly, but neither has the entire offense. However, there are encouraging things that you watch every time you see the Bears get on the field. Now, is this better than last year? Would be the question. And so far, the answer to that is no. Is it largely the offensive line at this point? Yes. However, I don't think this changes the trajectory of the team. And let me explain what I mean when we get down into it. So, if you like this content, make sure you hit the like button going in. Final score 13-19. And look, there are odds right now, and in the top level of odds, the Houston Texans are predicted to be a Super Bowl contender. Now, the Bears were within a touchdown of a Super Bowl contender. So let's first of all, let's take off the table there that the Bears absolutely suck because they're playing one of the rising preeminent teams potentially in the NFL right now. And CJ Stroud has certainly looked the part, and he's had a little bit longer to get himself situated and into whatever the game plan is. And it's been it's been interesting, right? But this team looks like they are ready. So the Bears were right there and had that opportunity, didn't take advantage of it, and we'll litigate that. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to figure out like where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? And you'll see what happens here. But this is the breakdown of the statistics, and when you look at it, it really doesn't look it really doesn't look great. You know, the overall team stats: 205 total yards of offense, 134 passing yards, 71 rushing yards. Nothing is working for the Chicago Bears in this lineup the way these things are going right now. 205 total yards of offense for a professional NFL team. There's something very wrong there. Now, with that being the case, let's not forget 15 first downs, which meant the Bears were moving the ball. Okay. The Bears were moving the ball. So, and by the way, we should point out that again, this Houston team was perhaps better than advertised. What's his name? Willie Anderson. God, he was a nightmare. And by the way, we're going to be talking about some of the plays with Willie. Absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy that we're not even picking up protection, and that's on Braxton Jones, I think. But there's a lot more problems than Braxton Jones here, with the primary catalyst for, oh my God, can we even win another football game, being Nate Davis. The fact that Nate Davis is even in this lineup is just, it is because Ryan Bates was put on the injured reserve, but we'll get into that in just a few minutes. Anyway, 134 yards passing. We're not going to win with 134 yards passing unless we have 200 yards rushing. We had 71 yards rushing. We averaged 3.1 yards per play, which means that nothing's really happening. And when you start to break it down individually, you get a better sense of it. Now, the interesting thing is that the when it comes to penalties, the Bears were less penalized than the Houston Texans, but they gave up 7 total sacks, had 66 plays, converted 1 of 2 fourth downs, 6 of 17 on third down. So not efficient on third down, but look, I've seen way worse. In fact, Houston 4 of 14. That's a testament to the defense. The Bears defense did a great job of holding this team. And look, you can't hold them down forever. What we said last season still applies to this season. You just got to score 24 points. You score 24 points, you beat most teams, you know. And we scored 13. We controlled the time of possession. Caleb Williams gave up 2 interceptions. There were 3 really bad plays, the 2 interception, and then one more where he just really didn't get it misread. But look, I want to say this: when you have a rookie quarterback who looks like he's running for his life on a lot of plays, way more plays than he should be, and just think about how many sacks he would have had if he wasn't able to get rid of the ball. Then this was a catastrophe for that line. But let's keep breaking this down a little bit more. Caleb Williams, 23 of 37, 174 yards, but he threw 2 interceptions. Caleb Williams had 5 rushes for 44 yards. And here's where we have a problem. And guys, you really kind of have to look at this and you have to figure there's something wrong with Shane Waldron's play calling already. And if you're not seeing it, I don't think you're being honest or clear with yourself. But DeAndre Swift got 14 rushes for 18 yards. Travis Homer 1 for 6. Khalil Herbert ran 2 times for 3 yards. So DeAndre Swift is not getting enough touches and not doing anything when he gets the touches. And Khalil Herbert is not getting enough touches and not doing anything when he gets the touches either. That is offensive line, pure and simple. So it's the offensive line. But let's keep going. DJ Moore, 6 receptions for 53 yards. Roma Dunze, 2 for 33. DeAndre Carter, 3 for 32. Cole Kmet, 4 for 27. So, we got Cole Kmet back into the game. We got DeAndre Swift into the passing game, and we'll take those numbers. We'll take those numbers. And then we had Khalil Herbert, 2 for 4. So, when you start to break this all down, we are clearly not, look, if you were Shane Waldron and you told me, hey, look, we wanted to give Caleb Williams a lot of opportunities to start throwing the ball and work out some of the bugs in our passing game, fine, except that he's running for his life on that offensive line. If you're seeing that and if you're knowing that and you understand that that's happening, why'd you only run the ball 17 times? Now, you could say it's 22 times, but that's Caleb running for his life, right? That's not designated or designed running plays. So we're not running the ball nearly enough. And what I think is, and I'll be honest with you about what I think, and I could be wrong. I think that Shane Waldron thought that he had a better offensive line. And when Ryan Bates went down, that was the end of that. And I think that a lot of people put a lot of faith that Nate Davis would turn it around. In fact, I did as well, that Nate Davis would turn it around. But we are now getting rumors that the entire Bears offensive line is frustrated with Nate Davis. And I'm going to show you a picture in a little while about why or what is happening right now. Nate is just not putting in the work, and the team is talking about this. Okay, latest episode of Scoop City, Adam Hoge noted that the interior Bears, the offensive line, are frustrated with the fact that Nate Davis has not been practicing to the point that the team was hoping to replace him with Ryan Bates before he suffered a shoulder injury. Since training camp started, it's been a disaster. Nate Davis is probably not a huge national story, but locally, it's been a big story for the last 2 years. He doesn't like to practice. The Bears are frustrated with him not practicing, and I think he was going to lose that starting job at right guard to Ryan Bates, but Ryan Bates got hurt. And last week, actually, Ryan Bates out-snapped Nate Davis in the opener in a rotation, but then Bates suffered another injury this week in practice, and now he's on the IR. So he won't be back, by the way, until the 6th game of the season. So Nate Davis is going to be out there by default unless they go with Matt Pryor. And at this point, it might be better for the team to go with Matt Pryor and just end the Nate Davis experiment. It is clearly not working out. But here's the thing. Really, there's nobody left to put into the lineup. So, I mean, what do you do? Now, I do have a potential solution to that. I'm not sure it's going to be liked by very many people, but Doug Kramer at center, Coleman Shelton at right guard. And look, you might say to yourself, well, Coleman Shelton's probably better served at center. Well, guess what? He was getting rolled in the first game. So, there are problems that are manifesting themselves here. So there are some places There are some places where you can make a few changes and just kind of see what happens. I mean, that's all you can do at this point. This is going to be patchwork until it's better. And here's the thing. Crimson's asking, it will Pryor be better? If he's better, why is he not starting? Because you didn't pay $12 million to Matt Pryor. You didn't pay $12 million to Matt Pryor. You paid it to Nate Davis, and Nate Davis is not working out. But I mean, here's the thing. You got to go with what you got. You have no choice. There's, this is a $12 million investment that you made in a guy who just doesn't really, clearly just doesn't give a shit and isn't putting in the work, not putting in the effort. So this is a very complicated, very difficult sort of thing for the team. And look, you don't like it, but you have to suck it up. That's all you can do. You got Doug Kramer, in my opinion, move Doug Kramer into that center position. But here's the problem. Problem is you have no backup at center if that's the case, or you have to shuffle Coleman Shelton. And if they get injured, then, I mean, what are you going to do then? So you're going to have to start reaching into that depth, and you're going to have to send a message. First of all, let me just point this out. If you don't send a message to your team that Nate Davis's play was unacceptable, then the rest of the team can just slack off. And look, we're all professionals. Everybody is a professional, but that's not how it works. When you're a team and you've got one teammate who's not doing their job, then the whole team cannot do its job. So let's start with that. And let's leave it there for just a moment and move on just a bit because we got more stats to cover real quick. And I'm trying to keep this simple, guys, so that we're not spending too long on this. The defense, nothing special. We had Tremaine Edmonds had a sack. Jack Sanborn had a sack. Gervon Dexter had a sack. As far as tackles go, Tremaine Edmonds had 11. Kevin Byard had 11. TJ Edwards had 8. Jaquan had 8. Kyler Gordon had 6. Tyreek Stevenson 5. Andrew Billings had 2. Austin Booker had 1. Jack Sanborn had 2. DeMarcus Walker had 2. Not a lot of tackling. No, not a lot. Look, it's not a testament of the defense. Again, problem here is not the defense. The problem has not been the defense. And by the way, DeAndre Carter, clearly the punt and kick returner at this point. And Cairo Santos been a rock so far. Torrey Taylor, by the way, 47.3 yards with 2 of his kicks inside the 20 yards. So this guy is absolutely going to help this team out. So we'll start breaking down a few other little things here. Caleb Williams just absolutely stressed, and under duress. Caleb Williams was under duress throughout the Bears' loss to the Houston Texans. He was sacked 7 times and pressured 23 times on 48 dropbacks. Jesus. Pro Football Focus credited Davis with allowing 4 pressures and 1 sack. Darnell Wright, who plays tackle next to Davis, allowed 5 pressures and 2 sacks. Now, here's the thing. The wheels tended to fall off in the second half, right? And if you're next to a guy who's not doing his job, if you're next to Nate Davis, you can't do your job because you're worrying about his job in your mind. So, let's just say that there's some growing that's going to need to be done on this team. The second half offense was basically non-existent. 4 of the 8 drives ended in 3 plays or fewer. The one sustained drive, they had 60 yards on 12 plays, ended with a 54-yard field goal by Cairo Santos. That was in the third quarter. In the third quarter, this is a little bit of what you saw. And by the way, there's Ryan Bates right there. But this is what you saw. Now, this was about 6 minutes left in the game. And I want to point out that down here towards the bottom of this was, let me pull this up so you guys can see it. It's absolutely incredible how this played out. You can see Braxton Jones here at the end of the line, right above where it says 3rd and 1. I'm working on some new assets and resources here just to draw on this page. So I can't draw on the page at this point. However, let me just say that on the left side of that offensive line was Braxton Jones. On the right side of that defensive line, Willie Anderson. When this play happens, Braxton Jones goes inside, and you can see there's only 4 guys rushing, but there's 5 guys on the line and a tight end, okay? or a man in motion, if you will. And out of this, Braxton Jones leans in. Nobody picks up Willie Anderson. And of course, you might be saying, well, what about DeAndre Carter or what about DeAndre Swift picking him up? Sure, that's fine. But you're talking about a grown ass edge rusher about to attack your and sack your quarterback. Like if you're looking at this specifically, you're like, there's absolutely no way. You got to give this guy a clean pocket to throw in. Braxton Jones goes after the defensive tackle and does not pick up the edge. This is crazy when you see this, right? This is absolutely insanity. And look, I'm just going to encourage you to go look. It's about 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Obviously, you have to argue with the NFL on monetization when this happens. So, but guys, this is it's unbelievable what ends up happening here. And look, shout out to the team. And there have been a few reports about DJ Moore being incredibly unhappy, and I would be unhappy too if I were watching this unfold. And it is time to be worried. It's time to be worried about the Chicago Bears and how well they are or are not playing. So I think that, and by the way, when I say that, it depends on what your goal is for the season. We've clearly proven that there is no Super Bowl this year. But I already told you guys there was no chance for that anyway, right? I mean, I think that we had that discussion. And look, I said 13-4, and it looks like it's going to be more like 12-5 or 11-6. This Texans game, I think, was one that you just had to win, in my opinion. This was one where you wanted to win the first 4 games, and it just did not happen. Now, here's what's fortunate. Fortunately, Indianapolis is coming up next. Indianapolis is the worst rushing defense in the league. So you looked at, in the first week, the best, potentially, the best defensive line in all of football by the end of the season. So, maybe we took on the 2 best lines early on, and perhaps that's going to give us a little bit, I want to say, of solace in knowing that, look, the Titans were a legitimate top tier defense. So the Texans are playing like it too. Hopefully, this is an aberration. Hopefully, this is not just an aberration, but something of a wake up call. Now, after we got a couple days to figure this stuff out. We've got the Colts coming up Sunday at noon. And then a week later, we've got the Rams in Chicago. Look, those are 2 very winnable games. Let's take it a step further and back out a little bit. Third game up on this schedule is going to be the Panthers. Panthers, a very winnable game. Jaguars, I mean, is it a winnable game? I think so. Are we going to win? I don't know, but it's a winnable game. Also, the Commanders after that, and then the Cardinals after that, and then the Patriots after that. So, look, the next 7 games for the Chicago Bears are the Colts, the Rams, the Panthers, the Jags, the Commanders, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. And the only one that should give them a problem is the Jaguars. I don't know how favorable the matchup is with the Rams, but, I want to say here that these are 7 incredibly winnable games. So if the Bears do that and go 8-1 heading into the Packers, and it's in Chicago, this is your chance to have worked it out. You got 7 games to work this out and get yourself ready. Now, bad news for some of this is the Vikings are playing pretty well. Packers, okay. Lions, I mean, look, some of these guys are considered to be playoff contenders. The Packers, the Lions are considered to be playoff contenders. So, this is going to be a very, very interesting season. And I'm not discouraged by what I've seen so far. I'm a little upset with with how a few things have gone, but I told you guys this is a better team. We haven't seen it yet, so my bad. But I do think that by the time this is all said and done, we're going to be looking at a far improved team. I think I don't have a rewind machine. I don't have a wayback machine, but I think I told you guys when the trade happened that I think it would have been better for the Bears in this season to have Justin Fields on the roster making these plays instead of Caleb Williams. Um, because of this, because it takes a little while to get used to the NFL, to the speed and stuff like that. He's not as good. Um, yeah, I think Caleb Williams is a better quarterback overall in the long term, but Justin Fields probably would have handled these situations a little bit better. So I don't like being right about it, but it was just my opinion. So let's see what happens. We got the Colts coming up. We're going to be digging in. You're going to see a lot more content coming out from me going forward. I appreciate each and every one of you for the support. But like most of my business is done in cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So you're about to see a lot more Chicago Bears content coming out. So we shall see how this plays out. I'm encouraged. I don't like what I just saw, but I'm not discouraged about this team. I'm a frustrated fan, just like everybody else. But I also believe that this thing is about to turn around and that the Bears have 7 easy, winnable games. And if we can just go, look, if we can just go 6-1, then this Bears team at the end of this would be 7-2, heading into divisional. And look, win a couple division games, and now all of a sudden this is a 10-win, 11-win team that's a playoff contender. So a nice streak. It starts now, and maybe it gets better. By the way, let's just face facts. It probably gets better in week 6 when we can get rid of the Commanders. By the way, is when it is. So if you consider this, Ryan Bates going to be out for 4 games because he went on IR. So the Colts, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Jags. So in the event we just consider going 3-1 through there, if we can do that, then that makes, I think, these other games a little bit more winnable overall. And I think we've seen the end of Nate Davis for the Chicago Bears, but you still put $12 million into him this year, so you still got to use him. So we go as far as that decision, and I know Ryan Poles already regrets it. I know that he regrets it already. It did not work out. Nate Davis is a head case, and I mean, when does he take his jersey off mid-game and just walk out and retire? You know what I mean? We've seen that before. So we'll we'll keep you updated, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much. It's gonna be a little short show today. We got a lot more content coming up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bear down, Green Bay. We are coming for you. And we'll see